Shalom. This is Love Herself again. This is part 15. The story in Genesis, the true story that Yahweh wrote, not the one in the Crooks Bible, but the one in the Torah, the Genesis that's in the Torah that Yahweh God Almighty wrote, that He wrote about the true people of that story. Well, when He and I and others, when we journeyed on over to the new continent, leaving the Garden of Ethiopia, not the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Ethiopia, and eventually settled in Miami, Florida, which is being called Mount Zion. Well, the part in the story where it's written that Adam and Eve were kicked out, it didn't quite happen that way. Yes, Lucifer, he tempted the Adamites and the Evites, not Adam and Eve, but the Adamites and the Evites. He tempted them to eat the fruit? No. If you've been following me on the other tapes, part 1 up to now, you'll remember that the fruit, I said, that Lou offered them, it wasn't an apple. It was his philosophy that he wanted them, the Adamites and Evites, to swallow, per se. He wanted them to partake of his belief. And so they did. The Adamites and Evites, they did. So God, Yahweh, he didn't boot them out of the garden, out of the Ethiopia garden. No, he's not evil. He, God, offered the garden to them. Remember, he gave them the garden. And he gave them clothing or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, but anyway, the Bible writers, they lie. They wanted to depict the Lord Yahweh to be hateful and mean. This is the point where he gave them free will, though. Heaven or hell. Free will. But they chose to stay. So, God Yahweh left them with their decision. And so he himself and Adam, after leaving the earth and returning, of course, God himself was already here, as well as he traveled to home base heaven as well. Also, he's everywhere. So anyway, so they traveled on over to Florida, and so that's being called Zion, with 20 million angels, over to where hell was in full bloom. So in Florida, where he, God, and the nation of God was battling lies piled up on them from the evil principalities, they were there too. But his evil sons were no match to their Father God, who had no problem wrestling them and bringing them down to their knees from their high places, high positions. Remember scripture? We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities in high places, high positions. Spirit principalities is what's being wrestled with. So anyway, so God, Yahweh, he wrestled his children / adults, opponents, who made themselves God's enemy when they messed up with him and his. So anyway, so he brought them down. There are those ancient principalities, though, the ancient ones at that time, want to be demons, spirit folks, hiding in bodies that's unassigned to them. Like what's happening sort of to Beyonce and what's her name, Sasha. Yeah, an evil spirit within Beyonce. The evil spirits are wearing bodies with people who pack guns, banging their gavels, wearing judges' robes, and was planning in cremating Adam, Ben Yahweh, in the future. After their plan where the wicked courts would trump up false charges against him, saying that he kills whites, him and his associates, which is not true, and it wasn't true. So when all along, it was the cops, like it is today. Come on, so focus, people. Those who disbelieve, and then later, Along comes in the Exodus story, nowadays, this day, after the cops did what they did, along comes the Ramesses. Ramesses is the Pharaoh of death. I'll tell you a little more about that later. That name is a clue, though, to what time it is. You see, a lot was going on at the same time. So these different incidents are combined. The Genesis chapter meant, in Yahweh's Torah, it meant the beginning of our time here on earth recently. In the Bibles, though, they want you to believe it's history. But that's not true. The time set for the Lord Yahweh is what it was. The Exodus and Genesis is about. It's time for Yahweh to visit and judge. So in the book of Exodus, it meant the time would be at an end. Time to go. I kind of stress things like that because I'm talking to young adults, so they can share these true stories with their children or whatever. When you hear me start expressing, I want to open up more for young adults not to be lost and to get caught up in those lies and live in old age believing lies. Anyway, so Exodus meant time to go, time to be captured, if you want that, then by your enemies or rescued by God. So God Yahweh placed that chapter, the Exodus, at the very back of his Torah, his Holy Scriptures. It meant the last chapter, the last chance. In the back of the Torah is the Exodus. But they, the infringers, placed it up front, right after Genesis. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Remember, those who are studiers of the Bible, they put it up front. So, the people would not be aware that, the true God wants you to get ready to go, nowadays. So anyway, so like I was saying, it's meaning the last chapter, the last chance. There's no more books about us. It's time out. But wicked tricksters, officials, forced all citizens back in the day with Yahweh's Torah to bring them forward. And don't be caught with one. Or if you do, you die. That's just how serious they were back in the day. And now, for real, now, about not wanting people to worship the true God, our goddess. They wanted full worship for Satan Jr. or for themselves. They feel like they're gods too. So anyway, men who run for president across the earth, for example, or across the earth's globe, they truly want to be God. And the popes, they do too, those horny sex machines who can't keep their hands off of little boys. They want God's position also. They want it so strong that it's ridiculous. But they're old, yet they're always voted in at old geezer age, wanting to be God, but with not much time left in those bodies, wanting God's position and making him their enemy, their competition, yet needing him, God, to bring bodies to them, to where so they can continue to live and be resurrected and compete with the God that resurrected them back to new bodies from the old bodies that withered. The popes are wanting to be God, but they can't live on without without their God's help. Yet they need him to resurrect them when they die. Go figure. Excuse me. The scriptures clearly say, call no man father, but your Father in heaven. For God is a jealous God. But he's fair. He invented the word dad for his sons to be called that by their children. But these clergy pope men, they could care less about God's one. They want to be called Father. Father Paul, Father what, John. You name it, Father whatever. But he got something for him. Yahweh got something for him. Please go to the next part.